like you're performing music wherever you are to save money to get to New York to push to a larger crowd, and you know
Right.
what I mean.
Yeah.
You got to make it to New York. We got to make it to LA. Well, we need money. All right, let's the band. Well, let's call ourselves what we need. The New York Fund.
They've got an adjacent band, Hookers and Dope Fund.
Yeah, exactly. That's their side project. Okay, John.
Yes. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audio. I'll say the Audiophiles, music-wise, that is. My name's John. His name's Andy.
It is.
Oh, that was satisfying. If you're having trouble with a high school head, he's giving you the blues. You want to graduate, but not in his bed. Here's what you gotta do: pick up the phone. I'm always home. Call me anytime. Just ring 362436. Hey, I lead a life of crime. More on that later, perhaps. Fucking awesome. But first, the more serious matter to hand. Andy, we've got some music to listen to, me in particular. What have you got in store?
I have a group called the New York Fund. Any light bulbs going off with that one?
I'm aware of all of those words, but not necessarily in that sort of groupage.
Okay, fair. Well, the track by them is called "The Guns of Camden Town." So, yeah, I thought
Really?
it might raise an eyebrow. I mean, you got a band whose title screams New York City, and the track whose name screams London. So, make of it what you will.
Well, this would have been a different song, and the second wife and member of the Fall would have been known as Camden X6 rather than Bricks. But there you go. Interesting.
Yes, yes. So, please do go off, give it a listen. Let us know what you think. I look forward to chopping it up with you on the other side.
Just for a split second there, with the drums and that bass right at the start, it's like Genie. Obviously not. Am I the only one? I bet I am. That right there. The way they intersperse the strumming, it just breaks the line up. Because he sings the first couple of lines. I've seen your face around. You know what's going down. Yeah, love it.
Well, I seen your face around. You always know what's going down. You think you're so cool, fresh out of your private school. Come on,
come on,
get up, get on, get off all night. So you lay your body down for the guns out Camden Town. They're looking good, so fine.
Okay. Right. First off, when he started singing, there's definitely Dylan in it. Nice. And not it's not a Dylan copy, but it's like Dylan in his approach and his voice, definitely. The sound of this acoustic and then that electric that also does little cameos as well, the end of bits. There's a bit like that sort of rocky Neil Young to it, without the whiny voice. I like Neil Young, not a criticism, but he has got a whiny voice. And there's almost a feel of like an a more acoustic version of like early Kings of Leon or something. Maybe it's this Tash that's throwing me, but this sounds great. It really does. I'm thinking it's a private school. You've got the reference to the Clash, Guns of Brixton, and using the term Camden Town. There must be a large part of this band that's British, definitely, even though they've got this country adjacent like tinge to it. I'm betting a lot of this is British, if not all of it. Yeah. Okay. Sound like it's going to change. Let's go back a little wee bit.
Get on, get off all night. You don't need anyone to tell you how to live your life anyhow. 'Cause by now you got it all figured out, just like the guns in Camden Town. Oh man, what a goddamn mess. Nobody said this was fancy dress. You're looking good in your head. Where I'm from, you'd be as good as dead. Come on, I'll get up, I'll get up, I'll get on and get off all night. You don't need anyone to tell you how to live your life anyhow. 'Cause by now you got it all figured out, just like the guns in Camden Town. And so when we get out, we're gonna spread the good word around that we don't get down with the guns of Camden Town. Come on,
Come on.
get up, get up, get on, get off all night. You don't need anyone to tell you how to live your life anyhow. No, you don't, baby. 'Cause by now you got it all figured out, just like the guns in Camden Town.
I enjoyed the bollocks out of that. Yeah, really, really infectious. Great sound to it. I know they were just like it's a video, but the way the video was shot and they performed it as well. I totally bought into it. Yeah, really, really nice. It kind of It doesn't sound the same, but it kind of reminded me of the first time I heard Old 97s as well, that sort of blend and that oomph to it. Yeah, really, really good. This is a hit. Got to find out some more about these guys, the New York Fund. So let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
Hey, all right, welcome back. So, how was your trip to either New York or Camden Town?
I'm quite familiar with Camden Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, from not probably so much recently, but definitely in my youth, as they say. Yes, I bumped into Kylie Minogue in a nightclub in Camden, actually, Subterranean. Yeah. Anyway,
Isn't it pretty?
right.
Is it a pretty happening spot, Camden Town in London?
It was, yeah. I think it. I don't know. Camden Palais before it burned down was, uh, quite an amazing place and a shithole at the same time. And there's some awesome pubs there as well. And the Jazz Cafe, yeah, was fantastic. Saw the Goats there, amazing, amongst others. Yeah. Anyway, guns of Camden Town. I believe it's knives at the moment, but anyway. I'll put you out in misery. This was technically, and I've checked, and officially, this is a rating. This was a rip snorter. And you may not know, but that's positive.
No, I could infer as much.
Okay, so starts off, and I had to pull this back because for the first second, and this is just me and nobody else thinks this, but with that sort of the drums and that bass, it is the first second of Gene Genie by David Bowie, but only for a second. But rather than this glam riff, we get this rocking acoustic strum. Immediately it has a great feel to it. There is a very slight country tinge, but no more than say Wilco have or something like that. It's just it's merely eyeshadow, no more. Yeah, and again, I'm hearing mostly the acoustic guitar, but you have the electric as well, and he does his cameos. Again, I've said this before recently, and I've said it many times before. Two of them together, fucking great sound. So the singer starts. Well, I've seen your face around. You always know what's going down. It's clear from this straight away, and also a bit of the sound, that there's some real Dylan influence in this. By that I mean Bob, not Thomas. I mean, just as a starting point, it's definitely Bob Dylan. Yeah. I mean, lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. I really like the way the rhythmic strums punctuate the lines. So he sings those first two lines straight, as it were, and then he breaks it up. You think, good to jump. You're so cool, good to jump. Fresh out of your private school. Come on. Yeah. I can't explain this, but I seem to have caught quite a bit of the lyrics here, and it wasn't deliberate, and it surprised me as much as everyone else.
But down there?
So it's just a really nice vibe to it. The whole ensemble, actually, with the video with them in this like cramped living room type thing, is really cool. And the way the video is cut rhythmically as well is really nice. And the sort of close up of the pedals, and the foot comes down on it, and dodgy wiring as well, which you think it's going to fucking set light at any moment.
Yes.
After this, we get a lovely guitar cameo before the next verse, and I was starting to get sort of wafts of Neil Young, but the sort of like rockier period after his initial sort of folksy bit, and also a touch of like almost an acoustic-y version of early Kings of Leon. But perhaps it's his moustache that's influencing me. I don't know. It definitely has an anglicized feel to it, with the Clash song reference and people saying Camden Town. Foreigners would just say Camden. They wouldn't say Camden Town. There must be a large British element to this band. Definitely. Anyway, it goes on, gonna blow your goddamn mind. Come on. Get up, whatever. And then there's this brief snarl again from the lead guitar. Really loved his action. Yeah. Then it changes. There's like a step change in terms of the melody and the approach into this sort of like chorusy bit where he goes, "You don't need anyone to tell you how," and that's really nice. And that section, again, to me, sounds more British than the sort of Americanized sound of the other stuff. It's like something that almost like a Britain invasion band would do, that sort of change. It's really nice, really, really nice.
Mhm.
We get the next verse, we get more dynamics, and we get that sweet chorus again. And then there's this really entertaining solo from your man on the guitar. And I love the way not only is he slowly falling to the floor, but the notes are going down and down and down. And then right at the end, he's doing all that. He does a cheeky little higher note, ding, and then he goes back into really funny, really funny. Just a silent touch, but I loved it.
Yeah.
After he's been rolling in the gutter of the lower tones. By now, I've stopped listening to the lyrics completely. I'm totally immersed in the whole groove and the whole sort of ambience of it. They put their heads down and strum to the end, and then there's this weird sort of reverb of like a recording of it, like it's about to start again, but it doesn't.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoy the hell out of this. It's great approach, great sound, great attitude, great image, everything. It's very accessible as well, but sounding of, them, I guess. It reminded me a little bit of the first time I heard like old 97 stuff, this sort of slightly different approach to a sort of well-known sort of genre or type. This is top stuff. Come on.
I'm so glad you like this one, John. And yeah, this was on my list to give to Greg.
Oh, can I just say,
Go ahead.
another fucking crappy name for a band.
Oh,
Ready.
okay. The New York Fund. You're not feeling that one?
No.
I think if you're a band not from New York and you name yourselves the New York Fund, it's almost understandable because like you're performing music wherever you are to save money to get to New York to push to a larger crowd, and
Right.
you got to make it to New York. We got to make it to LA. Well, we need money. All right, let's call ourselves what we need. The New York Fund. But yeah, this was originally.
They've got an adjacent band, Hookers and Dope Fund.
Yeah, exactly. That's their side project. Okay, John. Yeah, I originally wanted to give this band to Greg only because I thought there was a better chance that he would not have heard of them because they are a 4-piece country rock band from London.
Right.
So I had
That
kind
doesn't
of been
surprise
like, oh, maybe these were on John's radar, so this is probably a better one to give to Greg, but never got around to it. And then I recently reached out to you and kind of took your temperature on it, and you were, I'd run a couple of bands by you, and obviously you were familiar with some of them, but this one you weren't. So I was like, oh, great, this is a perfect chance to throw these guys John's way. And I thought you would appreciate it too, given everything you just said. I thought these things would kind of click with you as well. But yeah, they cite their major influences as Ryan Adams, Neil Young, the band, Bob Dylan, and Teenage Fan Club.
Oh, really?
Yeah, interesting. Because all those other ones, it's like which one of these doesn't belong when you read out all those artists. But yeah, funny enough. But it'll make sense in a little bit. So the New York Fund started out. They started out their life as an indie outfit named Cherry Falls, formed in 2003. And their lead singer, Joseph McAdam, originally from Glasgow, Scotland, met guitarist Adrian Woodward at an acoustic gig in London. And the two hit it off with their joint love for Teenage Fan Club, proving to be a creative link between the two. So methinks Cherry Hill stuff probably had more shades of that influence coming in their sound than perhaps the New York Fun sound, right? So,
and they're a Scottish band as well, so they would be heavily on his radar. Yeah, it's the sort of the harmonies and stuff like that, big style influence of Teenage Fan Club. Didn't get any of this, but fair enough.
So shortly after their initial meeting, the two hooked up for a rehearsal and found drummer Reuben Humphreys and finally bassist James Anthony Austin Lewis, and Cherry Falls was born. So the band toured around small venues throughout London and attracted the attention of major label Island Records. We just discussed them a moment ago. At the Cross Keys in Chiswick. where the managing director of go ahead.
Just because you'll get shit from people about this, it's pronounced Chiswick.
Chiswick, right? Chiswick. I knew immediately when I said that. I'm like, I've heard it. I thought I've heard of a Chiswick, but not a Chiswick.
Golden rule with British place names in particular is don't pronounce the last consonant and be as lazy as possible when saying the word.
Okay, so, yeah.
Birmingham becomes Birmingham.
Yeah.
It's at the end,
but I can totally understand how that's a me thing. That's my fault.
No, just because I know people go, "Wow, he said Chiswick."
No, you're right. No, and I prefer to know how it's accurate.
And there's people I bet are from Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas, right? Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, I'm from Baltimore, and everyone around here either says Baltimore, Bomber. You know, we never. So it's a similar thing. I think it's a lazy English speaking thing. But yeah. So anyway, they were were noticed by the managing director of Island Records, and that led to them being signed. So while signed with Island Records, they released their debut single "All My Sins" in May 2004, and wrote and recorded their debut album "Winter Winter," which was released online. However, although All My Sins never made it onto the album, 4 further singles from that album, Standing, Watching, UK number 64 is where that one hit, and In Your Arms were released in 2004. In 2005, a support slot alongside Feeder helped them to raise people's awareness of them and coincided with the release of their 4th single, My Drug. However, despite their obviously increasing popularity, Island decided to only put out 500 copies of their LP for the whole of London and were subsequently dropped by Island Records. So
surprise.
Weird, but yeah. Drummer Reuben Humphreys left the band, and Leo Sutherland was drafted in as the drummer in the newly named the New York Fund. The new band name led to a new sound, with the band taking advantage of the creative freedom that being unsigned had given them. Joe stating that it's also really exciting to see yourself and your band and your music growing and changing. I guess that's one of the big positives that came from losing our big major deal. It really gave us a lot of freedom to experiment, which I'm sure that we wouldn't have had if we'd stayed with Island. So their sound was influenced by country artists such as Ryan Adams, and yet maintained their rockier edge that they had developed as Cherry Falls. Following another run of shows around the London venues, the New York Fund released their first 6-track EP entitled The Guns EP in February of 2007. The EP was well received and led to them being championed by several radio DJs, most notably Dermot O'Leary on his show on BBC Radio 2, which has led to their track Nobody Home being included on his compilation album, The Saturday Sessions, The Dermot O'Leary Show. The EP also caught the attention of other well-established bands, which led to a supporting slot with The Hold Steady and one date supporting Ash on their 2007 UK tour. They finished a string of music festival appearances in 2007 with shows including the Glastonbury Festival, Tea in the Park, Loch Lomond, or Lomond. I don't want to, again, butcher one of these names. What was that?
Loch Lomond.
Okay, Loch Lomond. And 2 appearances at the V Festival, Chelmsford and Stafford. In 2008, Sutherland left the band, and original Cherry Falls drummer Reuben Humphreys was welcomed back. After months of recording, producing, and mixing the band, they released their album in 2010. So, let's get into these lyrics from the Guns of Camden Town. This is off that Guns EP, as you can probably imagine. So, well, I seen your face around. You always know what's going down. You think you're so cool, fresh out of your private school. Come on, get up, get on, and get off all night. So you lay your body down for the Guns of Camden Town, looking good, so fine, gonna blow your goddamn mind. Come on, get up, get on, and get off all night. You don't need anyone to tell you how. Live your life anyhow, 'cause by now you got it all figured out. just like the guns of Camden Town. Oh man, what a goddamn mess. Nobody, any song that has more than one goddamn in it is all right by me. Oh, what a goddamn mess. Nobody said this was a fancy dress. You're looking good in your head. Where I'm from, you'd be as good as dead. Come on, get up, get on, get off all night. You don't need anyone to tell you how. Live your life anyhow, because by now you got it all figured out, just like the guns of Camden Town. And so when we get out, we're going to spread the good word round. We don't get down. We're the guns of Camden Town. Come on, get up, get on, and get off all night. You don't need anyone to tell you how. Live your life anyhow, because by now you got it all figured out, just like the guns of Camden Town. Now,
Can
go
I
ahead.
just say, before you
Yeah.
explain this, one person's name came straight to mind when you were saying those lyrics, and it's totally wrong, but Pete Doherty
Oh,
from
really?
from the Libertines. I
Yeah.
just thought, yeah, that kind of sums him up, you know.
Huh? Interesting. I never really thought about that, but I'd have to go back and listen to some Pete's. I haven't listened to Libertines in a while. I have no idea what this. I mean, you can kind of extrapolate.
It's about the person, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, right, yeah. But what's even twice, 10 times more mysterious than that is like I don't know what fucking happened to these guys. Now I didn't get into them until 2020 because I'm in the pandemic looking for new music, like a crack fiend looking for rock. You know what I mean? So I came across these guys in like some indie mix fucking a while ago, and I was like, wow, these guys are super talented and cool, and how like for me, a Yank, to hear a band with New York in the name and a reference to an area of London playing country-esque rock and roll. What an interesting dynamic this is. What a cool band. I wanted to learn more about them. This is it, man. It's like after 2010 or so, they just kind of, I haven't heard a single thing about them. I can't find anything about them, which is a shame because this EP is a lot of fun to listen to.
Wow.
And it's cool to hear an Americana like genre, like country rock, through the lens of these guys from the UK. So I mean, if anybody out there, we have a pretty like half of our audience is from the UK. Any of y'all know anything about these guys or what they're up to? This is not only this video is not only devoted to getting John some exposure to these guys and us like chopping it up about how cool the song is, but like, please, it's also like a tell us where they are. It's like the side of a milk jug. What happened to these guys? What's going on with them?
Or if you happen to be in the New York Fund at some point, please drop us a line and tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Please.
It's happened before.
I mean, it's happened. At this point, we're close to like a half dozen of like these videos that have come out where someone in the band or someone adjacent to the band, hell, it might be more than a half dozen, but have reached out to us. So again, yeah, I would love to know what happened to these guys if there's more music is in the works, because there's talent here and they're doing something that I would think isn't probably that prevalent in the UK, like a country rock band. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's tons of just terrific post-punk and all kinds of other regular traditional punk, new wave, all kinds of great stuff coming out of England, but I haven't or the UK in general, haven't heard a lot of country rock inspired stuff. So this is a lot of fun for me when I found them in 2020, and I had a lot of fun giving them to you to check out, John. I'm really, really glad you enjoyed them as much as I hoped you would.
Yeah, a couple of things there. One, regarding the bands that contact us, I'm still waiting for a reply from Black Francis. But anyway, secondly, there's certain bands where it's quite a relief to find out they didn't do any more work. But this isn't one of them.
Yeah.
And I will say, do you say 2007, 2010?
Yeah, 2010 was the last I saw any updates related to these.
Yeah, I mean, there was the late noughties. There was a revival and resurgence in country and western music being made by British groups, and you could never get arrested for in this country if you did like country and western, but it sort of surged up, particularly through something like the BBC Radio 2 sort of outlet, and certain bands really came to prominence. So it would have been a good time to produce this sort of stuff, which is the more sort of rockier version of country.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you'd think they'd find an audience. I'm surprised, really, that they just picked it out. Perhaps
Yeah,
they
it's
had enough of the bullshit and decided to go off and do something else. But
right. It's one of those things where you find a new band and like
yeah,
part of you is miffed that you didn't know about them sooner. But then the part of it that's great is like you can now go back and find all of the stuff that happened between their inception and the moment you found them. Unfortunately, I thought I was gonna have that experience, and I got a fucking EP's worth of music, and that was it. And I'm like, well, shit. Like, I want more, and I'd love to know just to
yeah,
put some closure on what it is to expect from these guys. To know what happened to them because they're a super talented bunch of fellas, and I really enjoyed this track. Guys, let us know what you thought of the New York Fund and the Guns of Camden Town. Really be interested to hear what y'all have to say, even if it's no clue or insight as to what happened to them. Just your opinion of the song, what you thought of it, if it reminded you of anything else. Please drop your comments below. We love interacting with you guys. Also, while we have your attention, and if you haven't, please like, share, and/or subscribe. Really helps bolster the channel, get it out there in the YouTube sphere, bring in some more voices, opinions, ears to check out music, and anecdotes to share with one another. So thank you so much for that. And until next time, hopefully John and I will see all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.